G'day guys, Clint here, and I am about to record episode number 44 of The Full Landscape. This one's another one via Zoom. Mr. Christian Gill, who is a West Australian resident, has recently left his general manager's job. He was running 4 irrigation shops from what I understand, and he's started Premium Pumps as a distributor for Calpeda or Calpeda, depending on how you want to say it. He's, what did he say, about 6 months into that? I think he started at the start of this year. So quite an interesting one for me. Christian and I haven't met at all prior to this. We have a relationship on LinkedIn and we'd only really talked to each other a bit back and forth about him potentially stocking Lawn Hub in the stores that he worked at before. So I didn't have a lot of context around this before going into the interview. So hopefully you get a lot of value out of this. Christian, from what you'll be able to tell, has a very strong background in sales and management, and hopefully you pick up some gems in there around what he believes is important in selling things, and I have very, very parallel views with him around that. So if you are in WA and you're looking to buy a pump, he could be an option. We'll link up all his details in the comments section below the video. And as with all these videos, if you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to stick them in the comments section below. And before it gets too far in, go hit that like button, try and help us with that dopamine that I crave so much, and get this in front of some more people. Please enjoy.
Happy days. So my name's Christian Gill. I'm the Managing Director of Premium Pumps. We're the WA distributor of Calpeda, which is a 62-year-old Italian brand.
Yep.
Myself and my wife kicked off the business. So she's my business partner, and although she didn't have the industry experience behind her, I'm big on, about culture around that side of things. So I've managed teams. I've been in the industry for bit over a decade now, and like I said, with regard to culture and that sort of stuff, I think you've got to have a good culture in your business, and the right people and everyone with the same goals and passion. So probably hear me say passion a hell of a lot. So
Yep.
I'm all about that. So basically started off in the industry, in the irrigation industry, with no industry experience whatsoever. I was a branch manager of a retailer over here in WA, or one of the national retailers. And basically I was fortunate enough to have some really good staff where I was able to teach them kind of the business management side of things.
Yep.
And they were able to teach me the irrigation side of things, which was really good. So, really vibed with that crew and sort of fell in love with the industry. So I've been in a few different sort of roles. So as a branch manager, I've been a trade sales rep, worked in the industrial division, been a GM of a retailer, and also been in the pump side of things as a supplier for a few years as well there, where, I learned a hell of a lot. Basically decided I was the GM of a retailer, of an independent retailer over here in WA, and just as much as I enjoyed the role, and there's probably 90% of the role that I thoroughly enjoyed, but that 10% was just getting in my head, and I wasn't overly, it was just killing my vibe really. Decided to pull the pin. I think a lot around it was I enjoy pumps. I'm passionate about it. I enjoy finding a solution and that side of things, and I really miss working with pumps exclusively to a degree. Basically casted the net and spoke to a fair few brands around there, and Calpeda being one of them, and decided I wanted to go out on my own and give it a really good nudge, because I believe, service is lacking for the dealer side of the network, if you know what I mean, and that support and that sort of thing. So, and I'm passionate about it. So, decided to kick off the business with myself and my wife. We've got big plans, very big plans. But in saying that, it's not going to be one of those things where it's a kind of Me Too brand in our vision. We want there to be an element of exclusivity it's one of those things. If everyone's got access to the product and it's available in every single branch, in my opinion, it devalues the product to a degree.
I completely agree.
That's it.
So, Calpita, or you could pronounce it Calpeta?
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Either
cool.
either, I guess. Depends on what side of the river you're from.
Yeah. So they didn't have a distributor in WA, or how was it working before?
Well, it was Calpeta who was basically dealing with the retailers over here in WA, but they didn't have a presence. Many years ago, they had a young fella by the name of Stefano, who was an absolute weapon. He was really good. He was passionate about what he did. If he said he was going to do something, he would make it happen. He was fantastic. And basically, I've stayed in contact with the guys. I was buying quite a bit of their product at one point and stayed in contact with them. And, we'd spoken, in the past about myself coming on board with them, but the worlds didn't kind of align. And, basically, when we decided to go down the road of, or when I cast the net and was speaking to everyone, I had a conversation with my wife and basically said, this was an offer that come through and this is an offer that's come through. She said, why are you getting those sort of offers? And I said, because I'm good at what I do and I'm passionate about what I do, and I think it shows. And that's she really pushed and said, well, if that's the case, let's start something. Let's start our own little empire. And so it's been an absolute buzz, man.
How long's it been? Because obviously, you reached out on LinkedIn probably when you were with the Watershed. So my kind of familiarity with you was around recently moving into a GM role there. Obviously, to jump out of that would have been quite disruptive for you and them, I'm guessing. And I'm guessing probably you did it the best you could, but you're never going to be completely. The owners are never going to be completely happy about their new GM jumping ship 8 months in. But I guess, how long have you been doing the running Premium?
So Premium Pumps, we kicked off February. So we did plan to kick it off at the start of January, but there was a roadblock. So basically that held us back a month. And I mean, even around that story, I was really amped to get out there and rip in. And I had a few months off in between, and I'm the sort of person I can't sit around and scratch my bum. So I had all the back end of the business sort of teed up, ready to roll. Everything was basically ready to go. And I had a few months up my sleeve, and my wife said, look at it like long service leave. Feet up, chill out. And I would have gone nuts. So I went out, bought an old ute and started digging holes and putting retic in. So I said to my wife, I'm not going to get a haircut until the 31st of January or get my beard trimmed or anything like that. And, she reckons I look like the caddy off Happy Gilmore.
I can see
the
exactly.
beard was out there, mate. Everywhere. And went and got that done. And basically on the way home, we're driving along, myself and the wife, and Mark McGowan, the Premier of WA, said, we're going into a lockdown for a week because there's been a COVID outbreak. And I was, I was gutted, but it's all part of the journey, So it's, 4.
Hang on.
Really enjoying it. We've got a long, long way to go. But, we're moving in the right direction. We're now at the point where we're getting people that are coming to us and, saying we want to deal with you. And, they're having contractors requesting our product, which is an absolute buzz for me, So, really enjoying the ride so far. So
I'm interested to learn a little bit more around what you said earlier with regards to being more of an exclusive brand. I'm a big advocate for dealer network, having that separation of power between manufacturers selling direct to end consumers and actually protecting a dealer network. Is that what you're referring to? And I guess expand on that for me.
Absolutely. So we have our strategy is purely through the dealer network. So I'm more than happy to talk. I mean, I've got a lot of mates. The drilling submersible sort of market over here in WA is huge.
Yep.
I've got a lot of relationships with the guys that are putting the pumps in the ground. I will work with our dealers in an effort to sort of bring them on board and help them, get those get those customers buying our product. But there's absolutely no way that we'll sell direct to an end user. I think it's the wrong thing to do. You've got to protect your dealer network, and I think that it's definitely not something that we have done or something that we will do. There's dealers out here or suppliers in WA which do that. I just think it's kind of the cardinal sin.
My experience with your brand in SA is that they have sold direct to the end consumer here. So it's interesting, and whether or not they still do. Like obviously this is half a decade ago, but I think you need to choose what you want to be, and if you're going to sell direct, sell direct. Don't expect any support from the dealer network, and if you're going to sell through a dealer network, then don't expect to kind of sell to the end user. So I'm really happy. And look, it's you're in the same boat. That's your opinion. Like it's not right or wrong. It's just how you want to run the business, and I think it's the best way to do it. You're going to have, I think, more success. And I feel like it's just, at least you can sleep at night knowing that you're not going to have a phone call from a dealer tomorrow morning because you kind of thought you'd sneak one into a mining region and then
absolutely that's it. And we're playing the long game here. I mean, if it was something that we wanted to do for the next year, the next 2 years, you'd sell to anyone and everyone. We're playing the long game here. I mean, I've knocked back. I've got, like I said, a lot of mates within the game who have said, I will give you, a lot of, all of my business basically. And these guys, I know, put out some serious numbers, but if I do that and I make one exception to the rule, then it's going to be the next driller is going to say to me, well, you sell to him, so you're going to sell to me, or I'm not going to support your product. It's one rule for everyone, and that's it. And we can still provide a great level of service to those guys, but through the dealer network, and it has to be, so, and I'm passionate about that. It's something that we won't deviate from, full stop. So,
did you have to do much cleanup once you took over? Like, were there just like these historical accounts everywhere, or was it kind of where it needed to be?
Basically started fresh. I mean, there wasn't a huge presence back in the day when Stefano was running, or the representative over here. He started getting some serious traction in the market, and he was an absolute weapon. He was really good, one of the best reps that I've ever dealt with. And did a really good job and respected the channel to market. Like I said, he'd pick up the phone. If you missed the call, he would call you back. If you needed something, he'd jump all over it. But we basically started from scratch. I mean, as I said earlier, we've got a clear channel to market, which isn't everyone and anyone, because I think that's going to add value to our brand long term. So, and by that I mean not only our brand as Premium Pumps, but our brand as Cowpetta. I think that in some cases making it too accessible, it's a race to the bottom. And then there's nothing in it for the retailer. There's nothing in it for the guys putting it in the ground. It's it can become a bit detrimental to the brand recognition as well. So
no, I think that's I mean, I agree with you completely, and I'm not sure if you saw the last episode. Well, I think you might have mentioned that you watched Ricky Ruskin, our last, and we were having the same conversation. Like, it blows my mind the dealers that install and then expect installers to support their dealership. Like, it's just, there's no separation of supply there. And look, everyone do what they want to do, but so you talked, and I guess like I said, I don't have a real structure around where I want to go, but I want to make sure that I bring as much value to our audience and the people that are going to be watching this as possible. So talk to me about the things that you think are most important in the the toolkit of a business development manager or a salesperson that's selling either to a store, or obviously, like you've worked in trade sales before, like you mentioned there, Stefano, if he didn't get the call, he'd call you straight back. I see that as a really high value thing. Like, talk to me about the 5 or 6 things that you see that if you were going to hire a BDM right now, or a general manager, or not a general manager, but a salesperson, what you'd be looking for in that person.
Big thing of what I look for is passion, right? Passion around offering a really high level of service.
Yep.
I've had competitors in the past, and I say competitors, I've got, there's brands out there which, we've got competing products. I don't actually view my competitors or the brands as competitors. They're just guys out there, guys and girls doing the same thing as what we're all doing, which is going out, trying to put the product forward. And, so, I mean, if I'm talking competitor, I look at myself and I compete with myself every day. I try to outdo myself, and it sounds corny, I know it does, but I mean, even when I've worked for other people, it's not just been something that I'll do now that I'm working for myself. In the past, I'll pick up the phone regardless if it's after hours, if it's on a public holiday. I've been known to go into the warehouse when I've worked for the previous companies and, on a long weekend or Christmas Eve or Boxing Day or New Year's Eve. I believe in service, and that's a big part of what I'm looking for. You've got to fit in with the culture. I don't think the recipe is overly difficult. It's providing a really good level of service, knowing your product well enough, and actually being straight up and honest. And I mean, I've literally this week turned around to a customer of mine who I didn't have a pump that was suitable for their application, and I haven't just said I don't have a pump for your application. I've said I don't have something for your application. This pump here, which is one of my competitors, basically, this pump is going to do the job for you. I'm providing a solution, if you know what I mean. And then these guys are going to be comfortable that if I can't help them, I'm going to actually, if I can't help them with one of our products, I'm still going to help them. I think that's definitely important. And drive, I don't think you can buy it. Like you can. I used to think people that would say, money's not everything, had to be minted. I'm not minted by any stretch, but I can see that now that it doesn't make you happy. You've got to actually be passionate about what you do and hungry for that. So I think they're the sort of things that are important to me. And someone that doesn't bullshit. I think, there's a misconception in the industry or in sales in general that I hate the hard sell. I'll sell on features and benefits. I'll look at what's important to the customer and try to tailor a solution around that instead of, just trying to baffle them so you get that sale. I'd prefer to not get this sale, but build the relationship, which is long term. So that's something that's important to us as well. So, yeah.
I think what you mentioned before about if you don't know the answer, pointing them in the direction of someone that does can often be misconstrued as you losing that customer forever. And so people that are young in business won't do it because they don't want the customer to have an opportunity to see someone else. But it's actually the inverse of that. And that person will get that and they'll still come back to you for the next time because you've been honest with them and there's that trust there.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I mean, I'm all about, you've got to be a good person. And I know it sounds super corny and, the haters out there will go, that guy's a dick or whatever. But I'm genuine about that. I literally about an hour and a half ago helped one of my competitors select a pump, and I'm not benefiting from that at all, but he's a good guy, and hopefully one day I'll be able to coach him and he'll get on board with it. So, you've got to be genuine, I think, and kind. Everyone's going out and grinding for the same thing, food on the table. So that's it.
It's a long track, and you talked about playing the long game before, and obviously that's something that I'm subscribed to massively for the companies that we run. you never really realize it until you're deep in it, and then that person that you've kind of had like that you've done the right thing by comes to have an interview with you one day, or ends up like that rep all of a sudden's managing 4 stores, and now you've got this ally. And I think it's
don't have
not
to be enemies.
No. Look, it's funny. Like, I look at it like sport, I guess. I still want to destroy our competitors, and when I was younger, I was a lot worse. Like, I genuinely hated the people that worked for the competing stores. Like, I wanted them to fail in life. I just really hated them. I think as I've gotten older and probably felt more comfortable around what we've got, and there's no fear of there not being enough. I guess there's a more awareness of abundance, which is what you've touched on, like, without saying it. There's this abundance of available work, and if you're doing the best you can, you're probably going to outshine most of your competitors anyway, if you know what you're doing. And so you don't have to. It's a personality profile I did, like, it's quite a detailed one, compares competitive nature versus an achievement nature. So I'm highly competitive on the chart, so that's a red behavior. And the lady that was doing the thing with me was saying you really need to concentrate on trying to focus on achievement rather than competition, because competition is you winning at someone else's expense, whereas achievement's you being successful without it having any, I guess, connection or relation to another party. And it's not easy, especially if you've got that deep competitive nature ingrained into your personality, but it serves you better.
Clint, I kind of I don't care what my competitors are doing, to be honest. I don't give it a second thought, and the reason being, I've got no control over what they're up to. So all I can control is what we do and how we go about it, and that we stick to our morals and our strategy and our values, and that's it. And I think if we stick to that type of thing, it's going to benefit us as a business. It's going to benefit our customers and the guys, the end users and all of that sort of stuff. So. I've had that mindset for many years now, where I don't really, I've always had a good relationship with my competitors. And don't get me wrong, I shit stir them. I saw a competitor last week. I was visiting a dealer, and my wife is now at the point where she started to come out and visit dealers with us, but I didn't want to get her out there undercooked kind of thing. So she can select pumps now, she can do quotes, she can check stock, all of that sort of stuff. And I wanted her ready to roll before we actually got out there, because when you're dealing with pumps, you're going to get exposed very quick if you don't know what you're talking about. So we went out and saw one of our dealers, and one of our competitors was out there, and I introduced him to my wife, and I think my comment to him was something to the effect of, "This is Lauren. She's going to make your life hell over the next 12 months." And it was me just shit stirring. I've got a good relationship with the guy, and we were messaging later that night and all the rest of it. But I think it's important that, you have a bit of banter as well. But, I don't hate any of my competitors, to be honest.
One of the, I guess, advantages that you'll have is, I'm assuming that any of the companies that are selling pumps in your space were probably suppliers of yours at some point. So you've had that opportunity to develop a relationship before you've become a competitor, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, definitely. And every single one of them are good people. Like, they're not bad people. They're like I said, they're just grinding, trying to put food on the table for their family. So it's one of those things that I think probably 15 years ago I didn't have the compassion or the empathy that I have today. And I think that's definitely, I was pretty brutal back in the day. I had a goal, and I would step over anyone or anything to get to it. Whereas I think that's definitely something that my wife has, made a huge impact on me in terms of having that empathy and all of that side of things. So, it's definitely a totally different vibe, but I absolutely love it, So,
makes sense.
Yeah.
What was there any, I guess, concerns about opening a new business in the middle of a pandemic, or at least the back end of a pandemic, hopefully?
Not at all. I know that it's a great product. I'm confident in the product. I know that with regard to the level of service that we, as you know, some people might say you're a two-man band at this point in time. I know that we're the smallest pump distribution company in Australia at this point today. And I feel that we're setting the benchmark for the West Australian pump suppliers. You know, and that sounds, I know it sounds super cocky, but you know, at the end of the day, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I don't think that's unhealthy though. I think there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence, and I think that people that aren't in the space probably will see it differently. As in, when I say in the space, like in the sales space, or in the business ownership space. But I guess, what do you do? Like, just not say it? Like, if you believe it.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. I mean, I'm a super confident person. I'm passionate. I'm super passionate about what I do. I love offering a high level of service, and you know, it sounds cliche and all of that sort of stuff, but it's something I think that old school service is lacking. You know, I'm not sure what the market's like over in SA with regard to representation from suppliers and that sort of stuff, but sometimes it's just hard. And I'm not just saying on the pump side of things in general. It's hard to get in touch with your suppliers, and you're trying to sell their product and you don't get a response to an email, or you know, it takes a week to get a reply or a phone call back, or you know, a meeting's booked and you just don't roll up. Like, things like that really would annoy the crap out of me. You know, I've got dealers that say to me, you know, come in anytime, you don't need to book an appointment, all the rest of it. I'll still make that phone call, and you know, even if it's passing through their hood, I'm in the hood, I'm going to drop by, do you want a coffee? You know, like, and, you know, I mean, you as a business owner or a branch manager or whatever you want to call it, you know, you've got a lot on your cards, and I understand that. And I think what adds value to us is I've been on all different sides of the coin. So I've been you know, in the stores, you know, putting stock away, selling the product, all of that sort of stuff. I've been the supplier. I've been the customer coming in to buy the product, to put in the ground, you know, so I think that's given me a really good sort of rounded overview on what's important. So, yeah.
Do you think that as you get bigger that you'll be able to continue to scale that? Because obviously when you're talking about the levels of service, my automatic reaction is like, everyone's so busy at the moment. And I think that the market as a whole for us, like the landscape market and the commercial and civil construction market's so busy because of the amount of money that's in the system. The landscapers are understaffed, we're understaffed, or we're not understaffed, but every new staff, there's no more skilled irrigation salespeople in Australia than there were 6 months ago. Like, it's a growing industry. Do you think, obviously, I mean, I'd be interested to see how you handle, like, if your business quadruples in the next 12 months, which I'm sure you hope it does, once you've got 8 staff, once you run out of poaching all the good guys, how are you going to manage to maintain that level of service? And do you feel that that's a concern?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the selection of people coming into the business big time. You know, like, if you get the right people, and you know, part of that, I want some more experienced people coming in our sales roles initially. I also want a young guy or girl to come into the business that can do the warehousing side of things, can pack orders, can answer phones, but bring them up through the ranks and give them something to work towards. You know, I'm not a big fan of dangling the carrot if you've got no intention of actually giving the carrot. You know, I'm big on, you reward people for the effort, you reward people for doing the right bloody thing. And I think with the right culture, like I said, I think a big part of why I believe we're going to be able to maintain a high level of service is we don't want to deal with every single dealer. You know, so we can, you know, we're being selective with who we're dealing with, the businesses which we believe are going to add value to our brand, and we can add value to them in return. If people don't see the value in quality product, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, there is always going to be a market for, you know, your cheaper Chinese type product. And I don't resent that one bit. I think that's going to slowly diminish believe, I could be wrong, but with everything that's going on, I think that's going to slowly drop off a little bit, and there's going to be more of the European, type product, which is held at a higher standard, or viewed, or given the value that it deserves. So yeah, I think with that side of things, it's definitely it's going to be a changing market that we're all going to see. So yeah.
What's your stock like as far as availability? Have you had delays because of I guess there's less boats moving around from country to country as there was 18 months ago? Or do you only know it as you know it today, or do they hold a lot of stock here? Is it you hold the stock, they hold the stock?
Yeah, so there's a lot of stock which is held in South Australia.
Yep.
I also hold quite a bit of stock here in WA as well. So, I mean, I don't hold the whole range at this point in time, but I hold the fast-moving type products, and I know the market well enough to know what we need to stock and volumes and all of that sort of stuff. So, but in terms of stock which is held in Australia, in SA, it's quite a lot. The guys have literally in the process of moving to an even bigger premises so they can hold more stock on the shelf, do more builds and all of that sort of stuff in-house, which is an exciting time for the business as well. So yeah, we use a company, Border Express, to bring the stock over here into WA, and those guys are freaking awesome, man. Like really, really good. I mean, last week we work well together where we've got a really good relationship. I took donuts in for the crew last week because they just do the right thing, and giving them the good feedback. I think now they kind of look at what I'm doing and go, let's help this good-looking cat out. So
do you use them internally, or as in inside WA, or is that more local Korea?
That's more so just coming into WA from SA. And the lead times, I mean, when was it? A couple of weeks ago, I had a vertical multi-stage pump, which the order come through, it was a larger pump, come through late on a Thursday. I had the order in first thing, or that night actually, and basically had it delivered at the customer's property premises by the end of day Monday, which I'm pretty wrapped with that turnaround time. So we kind of, keep the stock rolling each week. I've got orders coming in, which is either filling stock or, if I don't have something on the shelf and that sort of stuff. So the lead times have been great. So we've also got access to, sorry.
That's what the reason I was asking. It was a selfish reason. I'm just curious about my shipping into WA. So I was kind of...
Yeah. There's a great local transport company which do like parcel delivery type services. So 4-hour turnaround time.
Yeah, like two drops a day kind of delivery. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. So they're called Quickly, and they do a great job as well. So we use
that's probably our APD. We've got a company over here called APD that kind of do that. Obviously, WA is a long way away from here, and I'm trying to ship a lot of stuff over there. But I guess I'm curious about distribution long term, and I'll talk to you about that off camera. But so the irrigation industry is quite a unique industry, right? And no one growing up, in my knowledge, goes, when I'm older, I want to sell irrigation. How did you? And I'm only going on my experience, but how did you fall into the irrigation industry? Tell me about how that happened.
So my background prior to being in this industry, I was working in the transport industry. So started off in sales, went into like a driver liaison management role where I was doing the hiring, the firing, safety audits, asset, all of that sort of stuff. Then worked my way up to ops manager and then was running the WA branch. My wife's father passed away, stepfather, passed away, and it kind of knocked her pretty hard. And to be honest, I didn't like the person that I was becoming in the transport industry. I love the intensity, but I just thought it was making me a bit of an asshole, to be honest with you. So basically sort of started looking around and saw a job advertised in the irrigation industry, applied for it, was upfront and honest with the guys and said, I don't know about the industry whatsoever, and but I've got all the, confidence in myself that I can learn with the right people around me. And that's kind of how I fell into it. So the first day I remember some guys that I still have a good relationship with and have known since my very first day come in and asked me for a nipple and a flange. And I think my response was something to the effect of, "This isn't my first rodeo, mate." But they were serious. They were actually after a nipple and a flange. So,
Yeah, it's the whole send the apprentice down to get a nipple and a flange. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So that's how I got into it.
And then it's a magnetic beast, isn't it? Like once you're in, you're in.
Yeah, I love it. Like it's a good community in WA. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of really good people in the industry, which I absolutely love. So it's been an absolute ride, and I wouldn't have got to where I've gotten so far in my career without having some really good leaders. And to be honest, I've had some shit leaders as well but I've learned about people management off the back of that. I've had some fantastic leaders that have taught me to, you give people the tools, back them in, let them go, let them do their thing. I've learned a hell of a lot. So really enjoyed it.
Are the independents?
I'm big on the old.
Sorry.
Independence.
So I was going to say, are the independent irrigation shops outpacing the corporates over there, or is it kind of 50-50, or how's the irrigation market look like from a 50,000 foot view?
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a mix with regard to our clients. We've got a couple of the corporates, and we've got quite a few independents as well.
Yep.
I think what I more so put the value in, from my perspective, on the people that are out, behind the counter, actually slugging away, and where we're trying to be a little bit different. I want to invest in the industry in terms of the education side of things. Although, some of the other brands out there do training courses and all of that sort of stuff, I've developed something which I believe is very beneficial. It takes it all the way back to basics, but I've broken it down so we're calling it different chapters basically. So what's for the bore pump training, the first stage will be what's an aquifer, how to select the pump, different, accessories and that sort of stuff. It's up to us as suppliers to develop the next generation of people coming through, because there's so much older talent in the industry, which is either going to die or retire in the near future. And my concern is that all that knowledge is going to be lost. So when I see good young talent, I'd jump all over them and, really encourage them to stay in the industry, because I think that there's definitely opportunity for good, hungry people that want to develop and want to learn, but you have to want it, if you know what I mean. You can't, it's not something that just gets handed to you. I've had, staff members that, the best team I had, I was the only guy in the store. I had 5 female staff members, and they were absolute machines. But initially, people would come into the store, I wanted to talk to the guy. And I would make a point to bring, the other staff into the conversation. How does this work, or whatever? And it would give the guy, that person confidence in what we were doing. So I think it's not. I was talking to someone last week who, while I was out with my wife, and he said, "Are you coming across any issues with regard to, being a female in the industry and all of that sort of stuff?" And I don't know what it's like in the East Coast, but over here, I think it's definitely a lot more accepted, or very accepted. Sorry, some of the best leaders in the business are female in the industry, in my opinion. Female, the best assistant managers that I've had throughout my time have been, and then taken my role over when I've moved on or up through the business or whatever, and they're still in the industry, and I love that I've played a part in their progression as well. I love it. So yeah.
Yeah, sadly, I think that it's just underexposed in South Australia. You know, we'll put out I guess an ad on Seek to try and hire a new salesperson or a new delivery driver, and obviously the percentages are still heavily weighted, like that more males are applying for the job than females. So I think unfortunately, until you get more balance at the application level, you're not going to get them into the business. I have no real. I guess I look at the best person for the job. You know, I talked about this, I think, on my last podcast or the one before. Like, I'm not interested in balance around gender or race or sexuality or anything for the sake of societal, like, ticking a box that says, well, he's ticked that quota off. Like, I'm just open to the right person for the job. And I guess if that balances out, then that's great. But,
Absolutely.
It's for a long time, we were all male for the first 6 or 7 years because I guess your admin department were the only female staff, but then now we're getting, our head of admin's male, and then we've got, I think we've only got one female in sales, or she's in irrigation design now, but which sucks. Like, it'd be nice to get a bit more diversity, but I'm just very conscious not to do it for the sake of diversity. But
absolutely, that's it. Yeah.
So, now that you're out of the irrigation industry, what do you, I guess? What do you miss and what don't you miss about being in an irrigation shop or running an irrigation business?
I would.
Or being in a shop.
I mean, in all honesty, the interaction, I love the interaction with the staff, with the guys, putting the pipe in the ground or whatever it may be. And I'll still get that because I am very active out there in the market. I mean, there's not a huge amount that I miss because I'm still doing a lot of that stuff where I'm working very closely with the dealers. So I might not be in the same four walls, but I am still very close in that environment. So yeah, there's not a huge amount that I miss, to be honest with you.
There's not a lot that you miss, or that you don't know that you don't miss. Sorry.
So I don't miss really anything because I've still got that same sort
You've still
of
got it. Okay.
on. Yeah, that's it.
So obviously you were in transport prior to being in the pump or the irrigation of the pump game. I always ask the next question, like, what was the plan growing up? Like, when you were at school, what were you going to be when you were older?
To be honest, when I was at school, I was a shit student. I didn't value education. I think I've always been a bit of a smart ass, and I'm still a bit of a smart ass to this day. But I think I was probably super funny. Some of the teachers could see what I was, or see the humour in it. Other teachers just thought I was a prick. So I wasn't the greatest student, although I had a lot of ability, I think. I remember I had one teacher that I was always terrible at maths, growing up. And I think I got to year 9, had one teacher that actually invested some time into me. And I love maths. I ended up, doing really well. I was that much of a smart ass. I remember once I marked my own test and I wasn't certain on one answer. I marked myself at 98.5%, and he marked me down 0.5% to 99.5 because I'd marked it wrong, basically, But I wasn't a great student. I left school just before the end of year 11, and basically everything that I've learned by the people around me and actually getting stuck into it and wanting to develop and wanting to learn. So, when I left school, I was working in a carrot factory, folding boxes. And it was mind-numbing standing there for 12, 13 hours a day, folding boxes, constantly. But, everything that I've done, it's led me to this point. I mean, I was a very, very young dad. So my wife was 16 when I got her pregnant, and I was 17 at the time. And, that definitely, it was more a case of I needed a job to put food on the table more than anything. But it definitely, I don't think I'd be where I am today if it wasn't for, having to put my head down and my bum up. It definitely made me reevaluate what's important. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I was still a bit of a buffhead, in my early 20s, and but my lifestyle has changed a hell of a lot. My thought process has changed a hell of a lot. And I didn't really start getting into career mode until I got into the transport sort of industry. So yeah. But,
So it was just about having a job. Basically, it was just about having a job at that point, not focusing on growth as a career kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, growing up, the environment, there's people out there that had it a lot worse, but it wasn't fantastic, if you know what I mean. And I've used that in a way that is going to help me, or has helped me be a better parent and, be a better person and all of that sort of stuff. You can go either way, and I wanted to improve on it, so it's one of those things that, you can't change the past. And I say this all the time, I can't change what's happened. All I know is I can change what's going to happen, and you've got to chase it. You've got to, I'm vibing hard every single day. I get up and I'm just looking to outdo Christian Gill from yesterday, and I love it, man. It's an absolute buzz.
How old are you now?
I'm 38, so 39 in 6 months or so. So
your child, that child is an adult now.
Yeah, she's 20, so which is crazy. So I mean, when she was getting when she got her learner's permit, I remember taking her for a spin, and would go regularly for drives of a night time just to have a chat, and like she's my friend as well. Yep. But there's still that respect, if you know what I mean. Yep. But she's a beautiful person. I'm so proud of her. But we went for a spin, and I was teaching her how to park, and she a bloke walked past. Oh, good to see his big brother taking his little sister for driving lessons, and I was like,
yeah, basically. It's funny, I'm 38 as well, and my youngest are 4. So that's so far. And it's interesting, like I think you either want to have kids really early or have them really late, and then have that, I guess, whatever that time is, that's your time. So now you've got this beautiful time where you can go, well, without COVID, travel the world or do whatever, and
absolutely. That's it.
Or through your 20s, you do it.
Yeah, no regrets from, at the time everyone said you're mad, blah, blah, blah. And, I've got absolutely no regrets. Madeline, who's our oldest daughter, she's, like I said, a beautiful person. She'll call up from time to time. I'm going to pick Sienna up, our youngest, from school. And, we've just got a really good dynamic. And, I think you are, to a degree, you're a product of your environment. I want both my daughters to see what a happy, healthy, respectful relationship looks like, because that's what I believe they're going to try to model their lives or their relationships off. So, we've got a really good vibe in the house where I'm outnumbered. It's only myself and Doug who are the guys in the house. Doug's our little Shih Tzu or whatever he is. But I mean, it's just a really good, healthy environment where we all shit stir each other a hell of a lot. But there's ample love in the house, man. So
that's really cool, man. Where are you sourcing your knowledge, mentorship, education at the moment? Are you continually working on learning? And obviously, when you're running a business and you've got kids and everything, it's hard to find time to continue developing. Do you have a mentor, or are you listening to podcasts, or where are you sourcing that from?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of resources around me that have got a lot of knowledge, whether it be within the industry, whether it be outside of the industry. I mean, my father-in-law is an extremely intelligent guy, and I try to pick his brain as much as I can on certain things if I need his skill set. I've got really knowledgeable industry people if I need to get my head around something or get a second opinion on something. So definitely got those resources, and I'm not afraid to kind of ask the question as well.
Yep.
So I'm not struggling for that type of thing. That's for sure. I mean, with regard to podcasts and that, I listen to a lot of Gary Vee, and although I have followed one of his big rules or one of his suggestions, which is hit the social media extremely hard, which I value that and I see it. At the moment, it's been more around getting the business kicking to where we sort of coming into the winter period where we're going to have a bit more time up our hands. Now we can start playing more with that marketing type of thing, and I absolutely love doing that. That's something which, again, self-taught. I'm not saying that I have, the secret sauce or anything like that, but I think, I'm pretty confident in what we're doing or what we've got that's going to be dropping, and so yeah, I feel like with your Pokemon cards that you're opening up on a Saturday morning. So I don't know if you did it as a kid, but you get up on a Saturday morning and watch the cartoons and eat cereal. That's kind of how I've been with the Pokemon thing at the moment.
Just wake up and eat cereal.
You're probably thinking I'm, a stalker or whatever, but
no. The thing is, the reason I produce so much content is because I enjoy, I guess, the feeling I get when I know that people watch it. It's like, I guess if I was a musician, I'd want people listening to my songs, and if I was an actor, I'd want people to come and watch my show. I feel like I've got stuff to talk about. I feel like, we're doing more than $10 million a year now from scratch. Like, having built that from scratch and all my learnings along the way and my unique opinion, I genuinely feel like I'm at the precipice of this click moment where people will actually find me and go, hey, I think your values around business make sense to me. And then there's some kind of micro fame around that. And if people aren't watching, I don't get the joy out of it. And obviously we talked before about that, the abundance in the world, and I don't have any fear of it getting taken away from me now. So I'm happy to share all that. I'm almost posting, I've got shit on my whiteboard that gets put on social all the time of what we're going to turn over, how we're going to do it, where we're going to. I put a video up today that basically laid my plan out for the next 5 years. It's the Total Edens and the Reeses of the world can just watch that and go, all right, fuck, he's going to open a shop here. Well, we better start thinking about that. But if they're watching that shit, then I'm living in their heads rent free because I don't give a shit what they're doing. I don't follow any of them on social. I have no idea what they're doing. And that was probably a real turning point for me 3 or 4 years ago. I unfollowed everyone that we compete with because I used to follow them and I'd be like, oh, what are they doing? And it's just you said it, man. If you got to focus on what you're doing. So absolutely. Don't stress about feeling stalkerish. I need people watching the stuff, otherwise, what's it all about? But I would encourage you to make sure you're documenting as much as you can now. If I was to have regrets around the early stage, there wasn't enough photos and there wasn't enough videos about how I was feeling about stuff. I don't have photos, when you buy a house and you stand at the front of the real estate sign and you're just like, hey, bought a house. I don't have photos of us signing leases. I don't have videos of me talking about the stresses of being audited by the ATO and the shit that I went through. And I really wish I had more of that. And, if you've watched any of Gary's stuff, he'll talk about document, don't create. All it takes is a video, even if you just record it in your phone about how you're feeling and what you think is going to happen and don't post it. You can always use that content later, but get it somewhere. Even just photos, and we had
and it's authentic as well. It's in the moment.
People I'm interested. There's a lot of questions that I want to ask you that aren't appropriate to ask as part of a publicly facing podcast because it's so sensitive to your plans. But if you record those answers now, so that people and you're talking about this is the plan, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and then it's all been recorded and almost time stamped, and then you come out in 5 years and you're like, this is exactly what we were going to do. I've been thinking about it for 5 years. I think it's really powerful. So,
absolutely. No, my wife's been getting lots of photos of the journey up to this point and, continuing to, and she's putting together, well, we've had some roadblocks that have come up that, at the time when it's happened, you kind of like, what the hell? And, now I look back and I honestly, like, it sounds so corny, but I genuinely appreciate every single roadblock that's led us to this point, because it's we've learned from it, it's a lesson and something that we can, how can we do this better next time? Every time I jump in the car after seeing a client or whatever, and I don't go out there and force pumps down their throat.
No,
I don't do any of that sort of stuff. But, I always question, what could I do better? What could I have done better? How could I have handled that? And trying to constantly improve, I think, is, and if you've done something wrong, all right, or, that you think you could do better, don't kick the shit out of yourself. But, okay, this is what I've done. This is how I should do it in the future. Move on instead of just beating yourself up, and I think that's important, because otherwise you just get in your head and you end up, and people can smell it when you're talking to them. They can smell the confidence. They can smell that you're not, or the lack of confidence, or, you've got to be, the best compliment that I've ever had, from anyone was from a competitor who said, you're extremely authentic. And maybe that was his nice way of saying you're an absolute wanker. But I'm authentic to me. Although you've got to be, a chameleon in a way where you've got to adapt to your audience. I know where I can sort of throw in a shit or whatever it might be,
I get it. Yeah, just to suit, like dress to your audience kind of situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. So,
no,
it's
I'm conscious of time. Sorry to cut you off. I guess.
No, you're right.
Talk me through, I guess, in the next 3 minutes, what the plan is now. Like, as open as you're comfortable being with it. Like, what's this look like for the next decade?
Yeah.
Like, what's the plan?
So basically, the short-term plan is to add as much value to our dealer network as we can. So we want to get out there in front of the end users. We want to promote the product, to try to bring people to our dealer network. So that's the short-term plan, which is obviously going to continue on. Long-term plan, I don't want Premium Pumps just to be a pump supplier. I want Premium Pumps to be viewed as an industry, adding value to the industry as a whole. So, like I said earlier, with regard to our training program and that sort of stuff, I would absolutely love for one day our training program to be a recognised sort of or registered training program, like things like that. I don't just want to be a pumping block supplier. There you go. Thank you very much. See you later. I want to actually add value to the industry. And like I was saying earlier, bring people, through that journey with us as well, help, build up the next generation of people. I love seeing people that, I've worked closely with, and it might be the smallest little thing that I know that they picked up when we were working together. I love seeing all of that sort of stuff, and so that's kind of what drives me. It's not about money or anything like that. Money does not drive me whatsoever. It's more about the journey and doing what I believe, or making the impact that I believe is going to add value to the industry. So, it's not a crazy recipe or anything like that. It's more about doing the right thing, being available, adding value, and chasing it. I'm hungry AF, if you haven't been able to tell. So,
I hope it doesn't fade. That hunger, I'm as hungry. I'm probably hungrier than I was when I started, and I've had moments of it being up and down, but I can see you've probably got some plans, and it's funny, like the plans I had when I started out seemed a little bit ambitious, and now that I'm kind of, like I said, $10 million in, I'm looking at it and going, oh, actually, I reckon I'm probably going slow. And I'm looking at it like I now genuinely believe 100 million is inevitable. and it's just about how we map that and like how fast I'm
Yeah.
comfortable doing it. Like it's a beautiful
Absolutely.
place to be.
Yeah, that's it. And what an achievement as well, man. You know, like,
It's cool. We don't stop.
you know,
We don't really stop and think about it either. It's just like, all right.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, move on. That's it.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I don't even know what time it is over there. It's only lunchtime in WA. But if people want to get in touch with you, I guess it's really only going to be dealers that are going to reach out to you, unless someone needs some support from a pump sizing standpoint.
We absolutely. So it goes through the dealer network. Obviously, we're more than happy to help people out if they're having water movement challenges. We're happy to help them out in terms of selecting the right pump for the application or whatever it may be, but then it gets farmed off to one of our dealers, and we'll do that in conjunction with one of our dealers. If they don't know, it's a good opportunity to teach them that. If they do know, well, then we can tag team together or whatever it may be. So, a little bit different to the average bear, but that's kind of.
So check you out at a website, LinkedIn. Obviously, you're pretty active on LinkedIn.
Sorry?
If people want to reach out to you just via LinkedIn, and then... Sorry, it's cutting out a bit.
Pump's LinkedIn page, Facebook page, Instagram, YouTube channel as well. So on any of the platforms. So and then our website as well. So you can contact us via that. So
I'll get my guys to link that up in the comments underneath the video. It was a bit scratchy there, so I didn't catch everything, but I got the majority of your socials. So I'll make sure that it's written there. That's all I've got for you, man. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
End it here, and I'll probably touch base with you maybe and have a chat with you over the phone, just about a few ideas about some stuff that I want to do in WA.
Cool.
And see if you can give me hold my hand while I walk through the village or whatever.
Absolutely, man. No dramas at all.
Awesome, man. Thanks for your time. I better bounce. Take care, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You actually keep the shit out of it.
I will. That's it. Man. Thank you. Yeah, have a good one and stay safe.
Will do, man. Thank you.